Good morning, or any other time of the day to everyone who is joining us today. It's kind of late morning here, so sending some coffee vibes to everybody who is joining. I think we're all already here, so officially welcome to the online pitching competition at Games Gathering. If you watch some game shows on TV, this might sound a bit familiar to you, because today we have 7 teams presenting their games, and then every team will have 8 minutes to present the game, and then 5 minutes for feedback and questions from our mentors. Then, after all the pitches, the mentors and the organizers of the event will select the winner. And the winner gets something good as usual. The good thing at this time is a pro pass to Global Games Pitch, which is Level Up, where you will be able to present the game in front of dozens of publishers and mentors from all over the world. And you'll also be able to get some personalized guidance, like something specifically for you. And the second and third place are also getting something really, really cool, which is an advanced pass to Global Games Pitch. So make sure that you have the best presentation ever, and good luck. Now, our first mentor, I think you're already here. Please let me know in the chat if you're already here. Bobby Wertheim, I see you. Hi. I do have some information about you, but I think you have information about yourself that you would like to share, so I'm passing the word to you. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, hopefully everybody can hear me. I've been in the industry since 2009, doing a stint at PlayStation, Sega, Curb Games, and last year I set up Kando Factory. It's a consultancy company, and from this year, while Kando Factory continues, from this year I've been really focused on Nocturne Games, which is a new exciting thing that's in stealth mode at the moment. To give some credibility about my mentorship, I've evaluated over 20,000 game pitches now in my time. I've signed a whole bunch of games, been a part of companies being acquired by the companies I work for, and so yeah, it's been a really exciting journey so far in the games industry, and hopefully today I can add some value.
Thank you. And I see we joined the industry in pretty much the same time, which is really cool. Curious to see who is going to be your favorite today in the out of all the 7 games.
Cool. Thank you.
Did you have a chance to play any of them, or it's just everything new today?
I'm approaching this as a complete blank canvas. I know the names of the games and the teams and where they're from, but that's it.
Oh, so it's going to be even more interesting. And everyone who is joining us in the chat, I'm sure that your potential to playlist is going to grow probably 7 games more today. Because I did check out the participants' games, and they are quite impressive. Like, I didn't play as well, but the information looks pretty cool. We have our first, the first game that is joining us. We still have some time until then. The name of the game is something that got me super curious. It's called Trash, and I'm like, okay, interesting way to name your game. But then again, like, we all wanted to play in the trash from back in the day, right?
Yeah, it reminds me of like Trash Panic. I don't know if anyone remembers the game, but that was quite a cool game back in. Yeah, I think it was like a PlayStation exclusive game. It was quite cool.
Oh.
But it's probably this Trash game is probably completely different to Trash Panic anyway, but yeah.
I need to look it up because that is new to me as well. So see, already learned something new, a new game. I already checked, and it's quite cute. So with I was assuming that maybe when I first heard about that, I was like, okay, must be something cute, but funny for real. And then I checked the website and like, okay, this is pretty much fulfills this not expectation, but the image I had in my head. So it's also an open world co-op adventure crafting game. So you can play with friends. We'll probably hear about more about that from the developer in some minutes. And you restore it.
It already sounds quite good. It's the kind of game I'm looking for right now, actually, by the sounds of it. So let's see.
That already sounds great. So it's now I'm curious whether it will be exactly what you have in your mind or not.
Yeah.
We will see that in some minutes. We're letting the developer prepare for the presentation. I've been also playing more of the, like, I'm not a co-player in general, but now that I'm a community manager for Massive Mini Team, and where our game also has a co-op thing, and you need to try to be able to work with that. So I've been playing with coworkers, and it was surprisingly good. So now the attention to co-op games is like, okay, this is something you can play with friends, and it's this one. And this is the friend I can play with, or oh, that game is with that friend. So there is some development. We have good news from the developer, Charlie Kinahan from Australia, joining us. So it's probably evening, if I'm not mistaken. I'm very lost in time zones. He's ready to go. So, hey, hi.
Hello, how you going?
Welcome. Doing great, and we're really curious about your game. That is so. Just a reminder: 8 minutes for the pitch, and then 5 minutes for questions and feedback.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. When do I start? Just let me know. I'm good to go.
Okay, well, I think then if you're ready, then good luck, and we can start now.
Great. Can everyone see? Oh, my slides are there. Magnificent. Very all right. Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie Kinahan. I'm the creative director at Bin Chicken Studios. We're in Melbourne, very, very, very south of all of you, I'm sure. It is nighttime, but it's brought a cool change in because we've had like 40 degrees every day. So I'm loving it. I'm living life high at the moment. So yeah, like I said, we are a Melbourne-based studio, and we're kind of dedicated to the art and craft of video games. And we kind of aim to make games that have meaning behind it and kind of have the power to inspire positive change. I'm the one in the middle here, in case you didn't realize. So I'm going to tell you about something garbage, something completely rubbish. I'm going to tell you about trash. So trash, what is it? It's a co-op adventure craft game where you restore balance to a trashy world. So you can jump, glide, shield, smash your way around a wild open world. You can complete procedurally generated hazard dungeons, and you can interact with rubbish creatures and customize your character with crafted forms and abilities. But there's no sense in just listening to me talk about it. How about we watch it for a little bit? Here's our gameplay trailer. Hopefully this works.
This is an emergency podcast from your E-Corp president. While it is true humanity's time on this planet is coming to an end, you must always remember it was definitely not E-Corp's fault. And let's face it, this planet was trash anyway. This is an emergency podcast.
All right. Amazing. So I'm sure I can't see anyone's faces, but I'm sure you're like cheering madly and loving life at the moment. So thanks so much for watching. But to get more down into the nitty gritty, what we're looking for. So the first thing we're looking for, and the most important thing for us at the moment, is to get a letter of intent from a publisher. Now, we've been in talks with Vic Screen, which is a local funding body, and they're really keen to give us the final amount of funding that we need to finish the game. However, they need a letter of intent from a publisher, or indeed signing a publisher who's keen to publish trash, to kind of verify that there is the market for them and it's worth investing for them. We're also looking for some completion funding, so 22,000 USD to add to that budget for our 12-month development period, resulting in a 2025 PC release candidate. We're also looking for some marketing support, so someone who can promote the game, create and oversee a marketing plan. Localization support, someone who can facilitate some voiceover and game copy translation into our 6 chosen languages. And then console porting, someone to port the game into consoles. We are building for PC on Unity engine. So this is a brief look at the timeline that we're looking at. So at the moment, we're in this first half of 2024, and this is the period where we're looking to secure that letter of intent or sign a publisher and then get that funding locked in. And then we start a development cycle to finish the game about halfway through this year. And then we're looking at a full PC release candidate about halfway through next year to be published at a schedule that is convenient to the publisher. We actually don't mind when it gets published. We've done some initial market research on the game. So we looked at similar games that have some similar features. So games like Subnautica would share a lot of like the art style and exploration, and then games like Raft, like co-op ability, and games like Journey to the Savage Planet, which is just about going to a wacky wild world. And having combined all the research we've put together, we've kind of seen this trend throughout these titles. And as such, we've kind of developed a preliminary target market for Trash, which is male, educated, 18 to 24 years of age, cares mostly about exploration and all other aspects of the game. Now, our Trashy traction. So we've received about 240K USD funding all up over the years we've been developing. We've exhibited at stages all over the world at this stage, just casually mainly, as we've been invited. And most recently, actually, we've received a letter of intent from Harvest Pictures, which is a Victorian-based production company, who want to turn Trash into a TV series. So they really like the IP, so they're really excited about that. And then on Steam, we have about 7K wish lists, I believe, at the moment, and we've had about 20,000 people play the demo. So in that trailer, it showed a lot of like the loops and mechanics of the game, but I'll just quickly run through it for your reference. So the first loop is kind of exploring and collecting resources. So the game is set years after humans have died out. You play as a morphi, which is a resin-based life form, and you kind of want to venture out and collect resources. Once you've got collected resources, you can then move on to crafting forms and unlocking abilities. Now, you want to craft and attach new forms, and these gain abilities and help you kind of explore hazards, avoid creatures, collect more resources, etc. So in these examples, we've got someone crafting a form there in a crafting creature, which is a creature made of trash. And then in the bottom, we've got some examples of different forms that are being used, like the smash, the toxic resist, the boulder ball, and the ball. Next, once you've got those abilities, you want to use them to help you complete hazard dungeons. Now, hazard dungeons are procedurally generated, so they're very replayable, and locations in the level itself are fixed, but everything within inside them is different. So the puzzles, the levels, and the hazards within are all generated. So the example we've got in the top here is the turbine element, which is all procedurally generated, where players presented with doors that they can go into. They kind of want to find their way around and kind of explore the labyrinth that is the hazard dungeon. And then at the bottom, we've got the lab element, where you want to find little bit engine parts to fuel the science engine to open the doors. And try and find your way to the source of the hazards that's kind of corrupting the level that you're in. Then the ultimate goal is to spread. Now, the world is 7 different levels, and each level has a that's preventing resin life. So toxic, fire hazard. So your goal as a character is to spread the influence of the hive mind, which is the nexus, your consciousness. And you do that by solving the hazard dungeons. And then you can go through the level and cleanse the hazards and grow resin life in them. And while you do that, you kind of uncover the origins of why humans aren't there anymore and what they did. This is kind of a high-level project summary. I've gone through most of this already, but that's just there for reference. And then this is kind of the budget breakdown on how it's going to work. So the period of development we're looking for starting the middle of this year is 12 months. We're asking a publisher for $22,000 and that letter of intent, which will help us secure the $116,000 for the grant. And that comes to a burn rate of about 11,500. Oh, is that it? That should be a comma, not a decimal. I apologize. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. I hope I wasn't too long, but that's Trash, and I'm happy to answer like any questions that you want. We also have a demo that if anyone's interested, we can send you a pitch deck with Steam keys. We're also going to be at GDC and San Francisco. So if anyone's interested, we'd love to meet up or whatever. But yeah, it's been a really awesome pitching to you guys. Really exciting.
Thank you so much for the awesome pitch and also showing what Trash is about, pun intended. Also special thanks for all the Trash fans. They're a big deal in this household, so it hits very close to home. That is
yeah, you're welcome. We're very punny in Australia, so it's important to make pun-based games at all times, I think.
That is very, very true. And reminding everyone watching us that you can ask any questions. We have 5 minutes for questions and answers. If you have anything, just type it in the chat and we'll talk about that.
Cool. Is it all right if I ask some questions and stuff? Yeah. Okay, so just quick feedback before I dig into questions. It's a really lovely, colorful world you're building, like, you know, trashy and colorful and lovely. It seems really cool. And you were able to like blitz through so much in such a short time. So well done, Charlie. I think fantastic job.
Thank you.
A few questions. So on the team stuff, is it just 3 people making the game? And is that all you need to deliver the game? Are you looking to hire more people?
Yeah, so I should have touched on that a bit more. That's the core team. So that's I can dive back to that. That is so myself, the creative director, the technical lead, and the lead artist. So we do have other people involved. Like we've got a mentor who helps us with production. We've got some audio guys. We've got another programmer that we hire on a contract basis as well. But these are the key creatives in that we're all locked into the project. A lot of the work on the project and the systems has already been done. It's now about kind of that final execution. So we're in a pretty good place, and then the other members we can just fill here and there quite easily.
Okay, so basically this is the team to deliver the game, and you might get a few more contractors to help out, but you're good to go with the team. Okay, cool. And with the team that you have the 3 of you already had experience working on similar games? Have you shipped games commercially that's similar in any way?
So we, Haley and myself released our debut title, which was I Want to Go to Mars, which is a mobile game, which is very different. It was a story-based point-and-click game. Trash was the first game of the genre that we kind of started, and the reason we've been developing it for a while now is that it's gone through a lot of iteration and through different phases of funding with different screen bodies. So they've asked for a proof of concept of certain mechanics, and we've kind of flowed that on. So while this is our first title in the genre, we have had a lot of experience delivering to milestones and delivering builds to the funding bodies. And it's great. Like it's amazing having the opportunity to get funding that way, but it also kind of it lengthens development in that you have to build to a certain target, and then if you want to change your mind, you can't, and then you've got to wait to the next cycle. So we have experience doing that. Yi is working on a number of different titles with a number of different Melbourne studios, and most recently Call of the Golden Valley, which is a title coming out at the end of the year. Everyone's shipped uni projects and things like that. But yeah, this is the first of its ilk.
Okay, cool. So like overall, when I'm looking at pitches, what I want to hear about are like who's making the game, the team, right? I want to know what the game is and what your production kind of plans are and how far in you are and how much more you've got to do, like what work is left to be done, what work has already been done, the tech that's being used, the commercials of the game, and finally the ask, right? Those are like the different categories of things that I want to know when I hear a pitch. And with your pitch, considering how short a time you had, you were able to cover like nearly everything, and it was just the team bit that I felt was like the bit that you almost skipped over, because there was only one slide dedicated to it almost, and then it wasn't like really, you know, not much time was spent on it purely because of time constraint, I'm sure. But with that explanation, I can kind of get like, okay, cool. Like the bits to lean into whenever you're pitching your team, I think, is to mention how big your team is, how many more people is required, call out who is full-time and who is contractors, and call out any experiences that are relevant in the team that makes sure that you can kind of add credibility, like, yeah, we can deliver this game. We're the best team in the world to deliver this game. And potentially you could talk about if you've got hires you need to make, like calling out, yes, we already know who we're hiring. And if your team already has experience of working together, calling that out can be really good as well. But obviously, because the time is so short, you have to kind of pick and choose where you lean into, right? So, but no, thank you very much for the explanation, Charlie. Have I got more time to talk, or kid, or do we have to move on? Or
we still have 24 seconds, so
okay, I'll just say thank you, Charlie. Yeah, but it was brilliant. Well done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bobby. I really appreciate it, and thank you, Orchid, as well. It's great to be, you know, seeing new faces and connecting with people on the other side of the world.
Thank you. Yeah, and thanks again for staying up for us so long. So you said it's the middle of the night for you.
Yeah, I'm going to go to bed. So
well, then sweet dreams, and stay tuned for the final part of the event. Probably you wake up and then check it out, because we will know the winners in some hours.
Amazing. Thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And we have another, the next game, heads up if you're into unique art styles. And if you are looking for an adventure, but like an adventure that will not get you in trouble, but just for the feeling of adventure, that might be something for you. Hey, Liz, welcome.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning.
Nice seeing you again, Bobby. And let me share my screen now. Can you see it?
Yes, it's loading. Oh, we can see perfectly. And this is the art style that I was mentioning earlier, so I didn't lie.
All right. Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Les Vinogradov, and I represent today Hidden Smugglers. We are a young indie studio that was born out of the third season of Game Dev Camp Accelerator. And our main title is Hedonite, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. So Hedonite is a hand-painted first-person 2D point-and-click / visual novel adventure game for PC and potentially mobile. It is set in a scruffy yet cozy retro-futuristic world inspired by the city of Kyiv, Ukraine, its architecture, railway transport, and people. And now let's watch the trailer. All right. So in terms of our USPs and key selling points, we have a detailed and believable universe with atmospheric art and sound. We also have fun mini puzzles that make sense within the story. And finally, we have a story itself, which is full of funny dialogues and whimsical characters. And here are some of our references in terms of gameplay and style. Hedonite is similar to the Red Strings Club in that it combines extensive dialogue with mini puzzles and tackles difficult topics playfully. Fans of Amanita design games such as Machinarium and Samorost will appreciate Hedonite's original visual style. And lovers of classic point-and-clickers, such as The Secret of Monkey Island, will find something familiar in Hedonite's slightly absurd style and humor. Hedonite's core mechanics are fairly classic for an adventure game. You explore different locations, talk to NPCs, and solve mini puzzles to discover new information, unlock new areas on the map, and receive quests to propel the story forward. And here you can see an example of a mini puzzle, which is a story-driven one. And this is what the gameplay looks like with examples of dialogue, exploration, a mini game, and a journal. The core game loop looks like this. You get the quests from NPCs, go exploring, talk to more people, solve puzzles, and eventually discover new locations and complete or update the quests. Since the game is narrative-driven, here's a brief overview of the story. You are M, and you just finished school. You live in Hedon, which is the lower town, and it's home to merchants, tram drivers, geographers, and smugglers. You are running errands for your granny when suddenly this happens. You get invited to study at the prestigious Vogis University in the upper city. It's a dream come true, but there's a catch. Although Vogis is dominating the hills right above Hedon, the way up is far more difficult than it seems. So Hedonite will appeal to fans of story-rich adventure games, as well as lovers of casual indie games with unorthodox art style. It is a niche audience for sure, but titles such as the Red Strings Club have done pretty well in the past, so we see a potential here. And we plan to serialize the production and release the game chapter by chapter, each for a separate price. So each chapter is expected to be up to 1 hour long, which brings, or even 1.5 hour long, which brings the overall scope of the game to around 12 hours of playing time. In terms of our progress now, we have reached the first milestone and created a playable demo on itch.io, showcasing the game's visual style, atmosphere, and basic features. And the next milestone is, so upon its release, actually, we received a lot of positive feedback, and we received 3 nominations at Indie Cup Ukraine, and Hedonite was also voted #1 at Game Dev Camp. So our current target is an MVP, which should take around 1 year to develop. Right now, we're looking for a production budget of around $90,000, while the eventual Steam release and related promotional activities will require a bit more time and additional funding. And finally, a few words about us. We are a team of professionals with diverse backgrounds who got together to create Hedonite, and this is our first video game. We have award-winning Ukrainian illustrators, Anna Ivanenko and Zhenya Polosina, and also 2 PhDs on board. So we draw from the extensive knowledge in our respective fields, but most importantly, we have a lot of motivation to tell a story inspired by our native Kyiv at a time when we feel it's extremely important. So right now we are looking for investors, publishers, marketing people and fellow indie game devs who will find Head a Night to be up their alley. And please don't hesitate to get in touch with me during the conference or simply via email. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for the awesome presentation, and also was pleasantly surprised to see that it has a relation to Kyiv, and some regions were very, very familiar looking. I wonder if that was the reference. I've lived there for like most of my life.
That is very likely.
Yeah, I clearly see the historical area where everybody hangs out, or when somebody's coming there, this is where you bring the guests first thing.
Yeah.
If anybody has questions, and I'm sure you do, don't be shy, share it in the chat. Nobody bites here, at least not upon request, like not without a request. So we'll be happy to answer anything that you might have. And Bobby, do you have any feedback?
Hi, thank you very much for that. It's a pitch that once you see it, you can't forget it because it's just so distinct with the striking art style. And I really like when pitches like really visually kind of represent the game in a way. Like it's like the pitch itself, you know, like the visual representation of the pitch is reflective of the game in kind of like visuals and tone and everything. I think it's really, really cool. So your pitch is really strong. It's so recognizable, right? It's really memorable. So it's not one that people would view and then, you know, if they see it in 2 years' time, they'll still remember it. Like it's, and the game itself, I think, again, you know, it's the kind of game that from a screenshot, you'd probably immediately be able to be like, oh, that's that game, right? Rather than confuse it with something else. So the two artists that you've mentioned that you've got on the team, clearly very, very talented. So like I mentioned in the previous session, the kind of stuff that I look for is like the team, the design, the production tech, the ask, and the commercials of the game. And with this pitch, I think what you've done really well is talk about the design of the game really well. Like you covered, you know, visually what it looks like and showed a lovely kind of short trailer early on in the pitch, which I really, really like when teams do that in their pitches with a video. You talked about the game look, you talked about the setting and the genre, the scope and the features. That you basically covered everything that I'd want to have covered in that section. And you did it really well. So I think hands off to you for you know, kind of ticking all the boxes effectively. When it comes to the other sections, maybe I'll lean into maybe production, because we, like in the previous session, I talked about the team, and just now we just talked about the kind of stuff I want to talk about in terms of design. But in production, the kind of stuff I want to have covered is the stuff that you've got on the screen right now, as well as I'd want to know if there's any post-launch plans, like what are those plans? Where could this go in the future beyond the initial release? And that could be in the form of DLCs or expansions, or it could be in the form of sequels, prequels, spin-offs, right? But that kind of longer term view can be really interesting to have. And it's always good to show, like, if you've got plans to do porting, whether that would be SimShip at the same time or after the initial release, then you're going to do the other platforms. So it's kind of like the bonus point stuff that I'm looking for from you with this pitch, because you've basically covered like the core of what needs to be covered anyway, right? And maybe it'll be interesting. This is, again, not required, but it could be interesting to talk about your journey to date to get to this point. You already covered, we're on itch and blah, blah, blah. But it could be really nice to give a bit more framing to your journey to get to this point, right? Like, how much have you invested in terms of man months or money, and where has that funding come from? What kind of challenges have you faced along the way here? Because I'm sure it must have been quite a bumpy road, and talking about that would not only humanize you, but show your resilience and your perseverance and passion for the game. So it will never be a negative, right? And talking about where you foresee the challenges ahead and how you're looking to mitigate that as a team could be really, really beneficial to the pitch as well.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. I guess I didn't quite cover the part about funding because we had none so far, so that was really in our free time. But yeah, that's a really good suggestion. Yes, thank you.
No, thank you. It was really cool. Super good. Like really great pitch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the detailed rundown, and it made the entire thing even more interesting. Does anybody in the chat have any questions? If don't be shy, feel free to ask. We still have some time, because I also do have one. As somebody who works with streamers and content creators, have you thought about the type of streamer or creator that you would be mainly targeting? Because it looks like a kind of a cozy game, but not your typical cozy game.
No, actually, I have to confess, this whole world of streamers and gaming streamers is not the one that I am so well, familiar with. But I think our game is actually perfect for online streams for people who like reading stuff aloud, because there's a fair amount of text there. And I really love it when people, acting the parts out and in different voices and stuff like that. And I think that would work perfectly with our game. So this is definitely something that we will be looking into once a bigger chunk of the game is out.
There's a game that when I was watching the video, it reminded me of, which was A Little to the Left. I don't know if you've seen that game.
Yeah.
Just like the arranging of the bits into the bags and stuff like that was like, it's really, and it's kind of got that similar sort of like super chill, cozy kind of, but like, tinker at your own time vibe in terms of gameplay. It might be interesting to look at like how that, because that's been quite a successful game, right? It's really quite successful, and how they're maximizing the opportunity that's in front of them because of their success. Like looking at what did they do well and how can we apply that for us, right? And how can we do a one-up in a way? Could be an interesting angle. This is completely outside of the pitch, sorry, but just like random feedback.
No, thank you. Yeah, that's I like that game, and yeah, it's true. We should look deeper into that.
And still time to ask questions. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Don't be shy. Just another reminder. I also have one more, but it's a bit like with a twist. What is your current favorite game as a gamer? What have you been playing lately?
I actually just started playing, it's called Oxenfree. So yeah, because other team members have continuously recommended this game to me, so I just started discovering the world and kind of diving into that stuff.
It's a great game. That's a great one. And does your game have like any reasons for players to replay the game? Does a narrative branch or?
So that's a big challenge for me in terms of like I would love the gamers to be like to kind of want to return to that world, but right now I'm seeing this as a more linear story with not so much branching storylines. So I guess one of the things that I want to create is this kind of serial nature of the game in which you're playing it chapter by chapter, so you actually want to return to this world, and to do that you will buy the next chapter once it's out. That's basically how I'm thinking about it, because I guess our ambition is to really craft a world that feels real and lived in, and something that will also allow us to then maybe expand this universe, create other types of games, but also set within this very specific world. So I guess right now it's not so much about replayability of each game itself, Although, of course, there'll be lots of story there, and some of that stuff you may want to relive and reread. But yeah, mostly right now I'm thinking about just making this as a series.
Gotcha. And other than funding, what are you looking for from a partner?
We definitely need support in publishing the stuff and promoting it. But I guess, it normally comes in sort of a bundle. But yeah, I guess we are really interested in finding a publisher that feels that this is the kind of title that really fits with their, philosophy, and their audience will really like this stuff. So this, I guess, is what really matters to us. We don't want to be just another title. Of course, we want to be kind of taken care of, and that's hard. I understand it's like a big challenge, but we would really love it to get like a proper treatment it deserves.
And what languages do you plan to support with the game?
I mean, currently it's only English, but we will definitely create a Ukrainian version. But I mean, as soon as we have enough budget, I would really love to make it in as many languages as possible. I mean, there's a lot of text there, so it's actually a lot of work for the translators. And I have a background in translation myself, so I understand that I would be very attentive to how this stuff is being translated, but I would definitely love it to be available in much more languages.
Cool, super cool.
You mentioned your experience in translations. Have the same thing, so I just can't help asking. Are you planning to translate the puns and the jokes like literally, or are you thinking more into adapting them or leaving them as they are?
That's a very good question. I'm pretty sure it's impossible to translate many of the jokes that are in the game because they are really specific to language. So I think in each case, the translator will actually have to act as a co-writer in a way, because when they are kind of adapting it to their own language and to the realities of their own language, that definitely will require some creativity, and because it doesn't really make much sense in a different language. So
that sounds challenging but fun, and I'm really excited to see what's next for the game. That's like an instant wish list, of course, as somebody who knows the places from there. And thanks again for the awesome presentation, and stay tuned for what's coming in the end of the entire thing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And the next game is something like, if you're missing the 90s, and if you feel like some sense of speed, but you're cautious, you want to stay safe, but you want to feel that. If you want to feel badass and the 90s type of badass, the next game might be something for you. It's Drive Rally. Our next presenters come from Poland, Paweł and Dariusz.
Hi.
You guys
I'm Dariusz.
there already. Hey.
I'm gonna do this alone, so it's only me. Paweł is busy, so I'm the creative director on Drive, and Paweł is the more technical guy, so the main developer. I'm almost like everything, so I do a lot of stuff, not only the art, the development, the marketing, because we are a super small team. And there's full-time, there's 4 of us. There's two additional people that do mostly art and marketing, so the cars, the environment. And we do, I would say, like a lot of outsourced. So these things that we cannot do ourselves, like sound, music, stuff like that, we do outsource. I'm going to share the screen for the presentation, right? So to make it easier, got it. So we're super small indie studio from Poland. I've started like more than 10 years ago. I guess it was like 13 or 14 years ago as a solo dev. Did that for around like 10 years or so, and started the first Drive game a few years back with a friend, and it kind of grew from that. And then after a few years, also started hiring some new team members to grow the game. And what's Drive Rally actually? So Drive Rally is a arcade rally game, and it's based in the 90s, as mentioned. With the first game, we focus on the 80s. Now we go to the 90s, and the main idea with Drive is that we do a cap on the car production year. So the first game had the cars only made in the 80s and before. Now we do add some new cars from the 90s, and we kind of try to build the game around the like nostalgia and a lot of references to movies, games, pop culture in general. So that's the background like of the game as it started. And the other thing is the cars. So we're trying to build that universe of games with cars. And so the first game was a much simpler game because it's a mobile game. It started with the 80s. There's currently over 500 cars in the game, 14 maps, I think, and a lot of storytelling that we kind of put in the stuff like either cars or maps or locations, you know. So that's the world building that we're trying to do with Drive. So we're taking those locations, those cars that a lot of people already know, because the first game had I think more than 22 million players at the moment, so that's quite some. And we're trying to move it to another game, a totally different game, because it's a typical racing game, not just a driving game, right? And I'm going to show you the short sneak peek, so the cinematic trailer.
Medium right. Hey there. Easy left. Don't do hard right. Concentrate. 100 in the jump, baby. Now listen to me carefully. Medium left. Don't cut. What are you doing? I said don't cut. When did you learn to drive?
That's it. So the idea with this game is to make it different from basically all of the rally racing games, especially in terms of the co-driver, the co-pilot, which should be like an emotional person, like an exaggerated character that not only gonna tell you the pace notes, but also is gonna yell at you when you drive bad, or get excited when you drive good. So let's say that's the unique selling point of the game, and it kind of works for now. So the other things is the artistic style that went really well with the first game. We're getting it this a bit like high definition because it was mobile only, and we're moving this to PC and console. So it's gonna look so much better on those platforms. And we also aim to do a really like arcade-ish, easy to pick up game, not like most of the games that currently, especially the rally racing games, that are pretty, like I would say, even hardcore, either hardcore or simulation there. So that they're not that easy to pick up for a casual player. And one of the things that also is different than most of the rally racing games is that we're going to do a lot of customization. That's still in the works. That's why there's not many cars on this slide, but you'll be able to customize the cars visually a lot in the game. I can show you the gameplay because we got the demo already.
Wolfsburg's pride is on the line. Let's make my city proud. We are unstoppable, like the Wolfsburg wind. We soar like eagles over the house. Every turn, every stretch is pure ours. Okay, now back to the race.
So in terms of driving racing, it's pretty difficult. You drive, you do the best time, but the co-pilot changes the gameplay a little bit at least, and it's available on Steam, the demo, so you can actually check it out because it's public. And see how's the handling, stuff like that. Does it match what I'm saying with the arcadish driving? So let's get to the numbers. So we've launched the Steam page in November, so that's around 3 months. 3 months. 90 days was just before the Steam Next Fest launched, and then we had like around 30,000 wishlist. Currently, we're at 41,000 wishlist. The previous game has around 22 million downloads, and they are all organic. So we never spent $1 on any user acquisition. And at the moment, we got around 11,000 Discord members because we're trying to build a community for a few years right now. So, and it's going pretty well, and at least with the team that we got, because we don't have any community managers at the moment, at least. And that's the okay. So the main competitors, I would say, are the arcadish games, not the super simulators or the AAA, and we're not going to compare to that. But in terms of numbers, we'll doing much better before the release than those games, at least on this slide. And there's not many games actually coming out in this genre, especially in this style. Most of the games are going realistic in terms of either the graphics or the driving physics. So you can see right here. So especially in rally games, most of the games that came out are actually AAA games, and they go straight into simulation, like the latest WRC game. So I think there's a spot for a game like that with a different style and a arcade handling, easy to pick up. That's the fun and easy to pick up. That's the keywords that we should use here. So
sorry to jump in like this. We're totally out of the time, but we have one question. So
okay,
let me know what's best.
So what we need an investment around $250,000 for the development, because we want to get the investment for the full early access production time, and we're aiming for the release in September, October this year with the early access, and around 10 months in early access, and then the full release for PC and console next year. We've already did Switch port ourselves. We don't have any other experience with other consoles, but we're trying to build the game to actually work everywhere. So all of the systems that we do should work on any platform, hopefully. Yeah. Okay, we can go to the questions.
We have one super interesting question. Also, as a daughter of a former mechanic, I'm super curious about that too. The question from the Metro is, I love 80s and 90s cars. They're really badass. How do you deal with cars licensing? The car in the trailer is obviously an S1 Quattro, but how do you deal with licensing?
Well, yeah, so we're not taking any specific car actually. So what we're doing is taking the kind of the trends from a specific time and try to combine them in one car. That's what you usually do with cars to not get any problems with licensing. That's all I can say.
Can you go to that positioning slide, please, Darius?
Positioning, this one,
Yeah,
right?
this one.
Yeah.
So, like, how would you differentiate? How would you say your game is different to, say, Circuit Superstars, Art of Rally, or Horizon Chase Turbo?
Okay, how is it different? It's definitely a bit bigger scale and should be higher quality in terms of like visuals and release of the content, let's say. So the idea is also like we're often compared to Art of Rally. That's, yeah, you know why. And the kind of the problem with Art of Rally, at least for me, is that it's not that fun and easy to pick up for a casual gamer. So that's what we want to do. So at least as we check with the players, anybody can pick up the game easily and finish a race and hopefully have fun with it. So that's the main idea. It's kind of like Horizon Chase, because Horizon Chase is that you just pick up the controller. It doesn't matter if you play like any racing games at all, and you can play. So that's the idea with Drive Rally, and also the cars. We're very peculiar about cars. So and the customization is gonna be something that it just works with the car games, that you'll be able to spend some time on your car and it will be actually visible to other players in the leaderboards or as a ghost that you raise during the game.
Cool. Thank you, Darius. Just high-level feedback before we move on, because I'm conscious we're probably out of time, is I really want to work with you on this game. This game looks amazing. It looks so good. Like when the trailer was running, I couldn't stop smiling. I was just like, yeah, you've nailed it. It's so good. Like, I think you'll be able to pick up traction, and I want to be able to provide support and assistance and add value with you on that journey. Technically, the pitch was not a strong pitch. I've got to say, Darius. Technically speaking, it's not. But it's like, that's not the point.
I'm still learning. I haven't done much of it because we've always paid. Let's say we paid for our stuff ourselves, so we publish ourselves. We got some investors, so and they're not like gaming investors; they're like more private investors. So didn't do much pitching in my life.
Yeah,
so.
but seriously, like, but that's not even important here, because it's just like the content is so good and compelling. I'm like, yeah, I want to know more. I want to know more about you, the team, how you got 22 million downloads previously. I want to know, like, yeah, everything. So I'm looking forward to setting up a call with you after.
Okay, cool. So thank you for your time. Thank you. It was a pleasure. Thank you. See ya.
Thank you for the awesome presentation, and I'm looking forward to those customization options. That is something that hits very, very close. And we have the next game with quite a mysterious title, so I'm really curious what the developer has to say about it. The game is called Age of Oblivion: Two Souls, and The developer is also from Ukraine, Vladislav Harmash. Are you here? Yes, we can see you.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. So I just share my screen. Yeah, just a second. So tell me if you saw it.
Yeah, we can see it perfectly.
Cool. So hello, my name is Vlad Garmash. I represent the Ukrainian studio Cyberduck Games, and today I'm gonna tell you about the game I've been working for few last months. So Age of Oblivion 2 Soul is cooperative adventure game with the puzzle elements in which you, with other player, control the fate of two heroes. Your goal to carry them through all the challenges that the world prepare for them. The game is targeting an audience in Europe and North America with an age rating of 16+. We plan to publish game on PC and the last generation consoles. So, the main idea of the game to give players an interesting and non-linear storyline in which they will choose the path for their characters. At the same time, we want to break the rules of co-op games a little bit and give players freedom to even in important story arcs. For example, if you don't like your partner's opinion, you can argue with them to find a consensus or push your view with strong arguments. The game settings is a world after a global nuclear war, without monsters, zombies, or mutants, but with some certain amount of mysticism that will be connected to the protagonists. You will be able to see how people are trying to restore the old order, how new political systems will be created, and how they will adapt to the new reality. So, gameplay is focused on the slow progression and exploration of the world. Players have to pay attention to the events are happening around them and make important story decisions, even unpleasant ones. The non-linear plot and quest system will allow players to write their own story. The player's decision will influence the outcome to the game. Now let's take a look on the main game mechanics. As I said before, the characters will be able to argue with each other. Conflicts will be represented by a separate mode where players will take turns choosing arguments for their statements. The one who had stronger arguments will win the debate. Players often face puzzles as they progress through the levels, which they will need to solve to move on. We also added some special time of puzzles that can be solved only with the help of the real world. For example, players need to go to the real website related to the game and find answers there. Each characters will have their own advantages and disadvantages, so each of them will have unique abilities. This also applies to the tools they can use to complete levels. The camera in-game is also an element of the gameplay. Sometimes the game will change the perspective of the camera to show events in another different nature. For example, if one of the characters needs to crawl through the ventilation, a camera will show him from the side. So, game loops are based on the progression of players within the story, which will be divided into acts. Meta loop includes completing quests, making decisions, receiving awards, and discovering new location. Core loop is the completion of story quests that will lead to the completion of act goal. So our USP, survive together. Choose characters considering these pros and cons, and together with friends, tell your own story of this world. Control your emotion. Make decisions together that will influence the course of events. Defend your decision in a special argument mode. Think outside the box. Immerse yourself in a game world that goes beyond your screen. Use the power of your world to unravel the main mystery. Discover the other side. So you need to discover the backstories and secrets of other characters to the special spin-off and separate DLCs. Let's talk about monetization. We are focusing on average market price for such games, with the possibility to get a second free copy for your friend or girlfriend, husband, or something like that. We plan to sell each DLC separately, and after the release of all additional materials, we will plan to introduce some game editions, so player can buy everything at once or on a more affordable price. Regarding the visual style, I would call it melancholic pixel art. The basis is a monotone palette with a few bright accents. The characters will find themselves in an almost empty, barely alive world, which can sometimes surprise with its beauty. So now you can see example what the main screen of the game might look like. It displays the current objectives of the characters, their location on the minimap, and world elements they can interact with. Players can talk to other characters and interact with objects. Each character has their own set of tools that can be used in different situations. The game level will be designed in classic isometric projection, and players will be able to move around the world both horizontally and vertically. So let's talk about what right now in progress. Right now we on pre-production stage, and currently the 85% of game design document is ready. This allows us to start working on the detailed level design, narrative, and quest for the game. We already have first developments for narrative. We have started working on the main characters and detailed script for the first act. We also have the basis for a level design, which can be used to build and work on individual levels. So now we're getting to more practical slides about the plans and budget. So the main focus on this year will be forming a core project team, attracting potential investors and publishers, and launching a marketing campaign. The main goal is to start working on a demo version of the game and launch it in the second quarter of 2025 to get the first feedback from players. Speaking of longer-term plans, we plan to release the game in the third quarter of 2026. After, we plan to release one DLC every 3 months to expand the game universe and keep players interested. So, about the budget. We plan to spend between $600,000 and $800,000 on game development, working with a team of 10-12 people. Marketing budget will remain at 40% of the total game budget. The majority of required amount we plan to raise with help of publishers or individual investors. If necessary, we plan to raise part of the budget through crowdfunding. Therefore, we plan to sell from 200 to 300,000 copies of the game in first year. So this is my favorite slide, not because of me, because we are on the finish line. So working in this game, I'm more involved in the ideological and visual parts of the game. It's like from game design, mechanics, narrative, and art direction. But I'm already started hiring people to help me to do necessary research and work on narrative and characters. So I am also looking for people for the core team that will work on the demo. So thank you for your attention. I'm glad all to be here to have this opportunity. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you for the detailed and very aesthetic rundown. And do we have questions? Do we have questions in the chat? There is still time, not too late. Ask away or hold it forever.
While the chat gets populated with questions, thank you, Vlad. Really great pitch. I could tell that you were like, like trying to get through the pitch, and it was like you were running out of breath almost, but you're taking a breath every now and again to just compose yourself, which is really important, and well done. Like, really good. Because when it gets like that, you just have to take a breath, and I think you did. And if you don't, it just falls apart, right? So I think you did really well to control yourself, like. Because I sometimes I get anxiety, I get like really nervous, and I can just be like, and I'll just say it out loud, like I'll just say it. I'll say, "Oh, I'm really excited to be here." I'll say excited instead of nervous to try and put myself in that mindset, and then I'll take a breath, and I'll get myself under control. And I think you did a really good job of getting through the pitch, and I think the vision for the game came across really well. The one thing that maybe I would add in the pitch would be like some video, even if it's like gray box areas or anything, and let the video do the work for you in a pitch, and have a short video, right? Maybe like 1 minute long, maximum 2 minutes, never more than 2 minutes. 2 minutes is already long. So try and keep it a short, punchy video, ideally with text popping out that explaining what the viewer is watching, or maybe even it's narrated. If it's not narrated, then you should narrate over it. So it means that you have to do work with the video at the pitch. So if you have it narrated, then you can just let the video do the hard work for you in a way. And you've just got like a really nice segment that you can just take a breath, and compose yourself. So have a video and have it really early in the pitch. It's a really good technique to just get people to understand, because what you're trying to do with a pitch is to try and close the gap between your vision and their understanding of your vision. And by bringing a video really early, you can close that gap really, really quickly. And then the other thing that maybe I would add in the pitch, even if it's so time limited, is the scope and feature set of the game, because I wanted to know a bit more about how big is the game, how long is it going to take me to play through, if there's reason for me to replay the game. That kind of thing would be great to have added in the pitch. Even if it's a really short version, have scope and features kind of covered. And I think you briefly touched on the team stuff. It would have been nice to lean into a little bit more about the relevance of your previous experience, the core team you already have in place, and the teams that you're looking for right now, because like you're looking for 10, 12 people, I think it is, in total at peak. And then how many of those have you already earmarked, and how many are you actually actively going to have to look for? Because that's going to be a question that will definitely come up with investors. And then the bit that was like completely missing in a way from this version of your pitch was the ask. And when I say the ask, I don't just mean the money. I mean, like, what services are you looking for from a partner? What kind of partner are you ideally looking for? What types of partners are you looking for? Are you open to equity, or are you literally just looking for project financing where it's rev share based? And if there's sort of like, because and also the one thing that I'm like always like, is when I see ranges of budgets, because the budget range was like, I think 600 to 800K for the dev, and then I don't remember the other bit, but it basically totaled 1.1 to 1.4 or something. But like, if you're going to have a range, I would say I prefer, so this is a totally subjective preference thing, to be honest, but I prefer seeing a hard number, but then having an option of like, if you go bigger, then you get this. Almost like, Kickstarter campaign goals. Like, hey, this is like what I'm offering, but if I get this, you get this as well, right? Then I don't mind seeing like different budgets. But when it's just like a range, it's like, okay, it's unknown. And then it makes me feel like, okay, well, the lower end is probably something I should just dismiss, and I should just look at the high end anyway, because that's probably what we should budget for, because if it's just an unknown, right? So then in that case, what you should probably present is just the higher range, in that, if that is the case. So that would be my recommendation, generally speaking, to people. Rather than show ranges, show tiers, or just go for like the higher number if it's based on an unknown and it's a contingency thing. And if it's like on the dev side, that's the approach. If it's the budget on the publishing side, i.e. the marketing budget, then you can just leave that out, because like every publisher will have their own way of coming up with the appropriate marketing budget for the game anyway. So if that's what's causing the kind of like, oh, I'm not sure what to put, then just don't put it. Just go, this is under my control. This is what I'm budgeting. And then you guys figure out what you want to budget for my game, basically, right? If that's so it's like, it depends like how you, what part of the budget we're talking about, and therefore how you deal with that budget. So my recommendation changes depending on that. Yeah, but overall, like, super cool pitch, man. Thank you very much, Vlad.
Yeah, thank you a lot. I think my problem with Brass, because it's really my first pitch in this format. So thank you a lot for your advices, and yeah, I think see you in the game.
And we have even more feedback about the presentation. So from Metro in the chat is good pitch, presentation looks great. So it looks great and on point, so no need to worry. And then Anastasia writes, presentation is beautiful indeed. So I must say your first one went really, really well.
Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much, and looking forward to checking out the game.
Great work, Vlad.
Thank you.
And as we're now switching to the next half of our presentations, stay tuned for more games. And Bobby, thank you so much for such detailed commentary that can also be of use to any indie developer and aspiring indie developer.
Thank you very much. Okay. Should I hang around in the background, backstage, or do I just go now, or what do I do?
Well, we have quite some interesting games coming up, so. Yeah, like I think being backstage and lurking mode could be useful. Maybe
Cool.
there is something that's for you.
Thank you, kid.
Thank you so much. And we're about to switch to the second part of the presentations, and welcome Jan. Welcome, good to see you. Also
Hey.
from Germany. Hi.
Yeah, happy Thursday, or in some parts, I guess, even already Friday, right? So.
Oh, it's Friday, so that's why Friday vibes are happening here.
Nice.
Mystery solved.
Perfect.
So see, he just joined and already solved the mystery. So the next, our next presenter will probably have their questions solved in no time as well. And our next presenter comes from Finland. It's Ate Petteri. Please correct me if I pronounce the name wrong. And the name is Killbeat. My favorite part about the description from the game is about making music with guns and guts. You got me at that. And now I'm sure you're gonna get everyone with even more.
Yeah, thanks for the introduction. So I'll share the screen. Yeah, can you see it?
Oh yes, it's loading, and yes, we can.
Nice, and you can hear me also. Yes, let's go. So, hi, I am Atte Petteri from Kalma Games, and I'm here to present you Killbeat. Killbeat is an isometric rhythm shooter roguelike that focuses on fast, brutal, and skill-based gameplay. It merges the rhythm shooting of Metal Hellsinger with the replayability of Enter the Gungeon. So, let's check out how it currently looks and sounds.
We can't hear it, I'm afraid.
Ah, okay.
It looks great already, but we want to hear the
Yeah,
sound.
it's pretty important. It's rhythm game, so Is it from settings?
Could be the wrong device set up.
Yeah, I'll just try to share it as a can you hear the music now? Oops. Oh no, it is lagging. Yeah, this is the classic demo effect.
Now we are witnessing the classic demo effect in action.
Yeah.
Just a very good educational experience, so great.
Yeah, I just tested the audio with a different software with my teammates, but didn't use this. So, can you hear now?
Nope, sadly not.
Well, let's look the video anyway. I can get the audio working now, but oh shit.
And there should be a toggle where you share the screen to share the audio. Maybe that should help.
Yeah, I'll check out it pretty fast. Fortunately, I have a little quicker pitch. It should be like 6 minutes. So, great. Now I think I found it. Now it throws me another error. Oh, I have one idea still. I try this one. If this doesn't work, then yeah, I can. It just doesn't work with me today, so we'll have to do without the audio.
If anyone is even more curious, then go to Steam, and the Steam page there is audio.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
But just imagine something really cool music, electronic dance music with mixed with metal. Yes, so let's continue. So, the core gameplay. In Killbeat, you will be exploring procedurally generated levels with a rhythm-driven gameplay. And Killbeat encourages aggressive playstyle. For example, you can dash to low health enemies from far away to finish them and get invulnerability buff to reposition yourself freely after. Heartbeat charges is a unique mechanic that allows more interesting rhythms for experienced players while keeping the game approachable for players new to the genre. While surviving is your top priority, you should still focus on keeping your combo going on to get bigger multipliers. You get gameplay bonuses such as more movement speed, more zoomed out view, and more heartbeat charges, as well as additional instruments to the music track like guitars and orchestra. Each run has a self-contained story, and every level has one pivotal encounter where you can branch out to different directions. For example, in the first level you will encounter a ritual room. You can either complete the ritual, sacrificing an important NPC in the process and releasing an evil godlike creature, or you could save the NPC and ruin the ritual for good. And all the following levels will be different depending on your choices. And to increase the replayability even further, all narrative decisions are designed to be strategic from a gameplay perspective, keeping it interesting even after experiencing all the different branches story-wise. In our hub area, you can hang out between runs and talk to different NPCs. And some of our meta progression features in the hub area are unlocking new passive items and guns, unlocking new run modifiers that make the game easier or more challenging, daily and weekly runs with leaderboards to compete with your friends, trial challenges for learning and testing your skills, for example, training against a difficult boss just before starting a new run. And lastly, we have killboard missions that are simple and straightforward tasks like kill 200x enemies or finish 100 enemies. They give a sense of progression for each run. In our analysis, we filter out games with less than $1 price and less than 50 reviews, and this is what we were left with. With tags, rhythm plus action roguelike, we have 6 games, and if we add shooter tag, we are left with only 2 games. This is very little data to draw any meaningful conclusions, other than that there is certainly space for these kinds of games. Rhythm action game means in this context any game that mixes rhythm with any other known action genre. We will have a vertical slice without metagame progression ready this April. The following 8 months will be spent on creating the core content of the game. After that, we will focus on finishing the hub area, meta progression, and adding more content for replayability. And last 4 months before the launch will be spent on polishing and adding extra content. We are a game studio from Tampere, Finland, and our core team was brought together by Killbeat. At the start, it was just Elias making music and me doing all the other work. But after showing the prototype around, I managed to find the core team that believes in this project so much that they are willing to put their skin in the game too. And here are some of the titles that we have individually worked on before founding Kalma Games. We are asking for an additional 210,000 euros, and with this money we are going to hire 2 additional developers. We are looking for a publisher who could provide funding, porting, localization, GUI, and marketing services, the whole package. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the great presentation. And just a reminder in the chat that if you could not imagine the sound or you want to make sure that you imagined it properly, check out the game on Steam. There is for the full experience. And questions in the chat are more than welcome. We have already some feedback from Anastasia, who says, already checked there on Steam. The audio really is great and adds a tempo. So first impression achieved. Jan, what do you think?
Yes. Obviously, I feel super sorry that the audio didn't work out, but I did prepare for this session and I looked into it before jumping on the stream. So I know how amazing it is. And it's really because it's one of your key selling points is the audio, and it is amazing. Obviously, it doesn't do your game pitch justice overall. But I'm glad that you were able to go back on track after some sadly unsuccessful troubleshooting. And my only piece of advice there is, I know Pine is not similar to like your Zooms, your Teams, your Discords, your whatevers. But if you have something that is super important, such as this, just be proactive. Ask the organizers if you can do a dry run with them, because it's, I guess, not so easy to do a dry run within your team with Pine, just to make sure that you nail it. Because, I mean, I've been in the position where I had to boil down a pitch to 5 to 7 minutes. And it's super hard. It's not easy. And then you obviously want to nail it and knock it out of the park and make the most out of it. But I think otherwise, I mean, it was great that you jumped directly into the video. So you prefaced this with very good comparables. I think you nailed it with Enter the Gungeon and then Metal Hellsinger, because these are the two games that immediately come to my mind when I look at this game. And also overall, the balance of information and screenshots / GIFs on the different slides. I think this is close to perfect, very good layouting, overall, visually appealing. You know, I get it. The only thing that I might be missing is like either in the beginning or at the end or at both stages. Well, you had it at the end, the fact sheet, like, okay, what is this game, genre, platforms, timeline, just to summarize it. So you had that. The only thing that I was questioning a little bit was the budgeting, because you have quite a sizable budget, but you're only asking for a portion for it. So where's the rest coming from? Was this already invested, or is a publisher investment triggering some kind of public grant situation? Because obviously you're only asking for about like a quarter of the budget.
Yeah, we are getting those public fundings, and as you said, the publishing deal will trigger one public grant for us.
Okay, that's, I think, very important to communicate. But otherwise, you pointed it out that this is the first game of Kalmar Games, but the folks do have individual experience on games that have already shipped, which are, I guess, of kind of similar scopes and maybe even genres or subgenres. So this was also pretty good. And yeah, I mean, the game overall, as with the rally game that we saw earlier, the content speaks for itself. So yeah, it looks really good.
Thanks.
Thank you. And do we have any more questions? We still have a bit of time, just like a little bit. We have an emoji reaction in the chat that's like this, so that's an approving one for sure. And also feel free to ask something later on in the chat. If you come up with something later, that is also fine. And thanks again for the presentation. Also, it was a really cool description of the sound that you gave. It put my brain in the right direction and made me more curious to check the game out on Steam. So great workaround.
Thank you very much.
And as we're switching to our next presenter, it's like games gathering, start gathering, kind of similar things, but I assume that the game is not about the event. Let's see what is happening there. Yehor Shevchenko from Ukraine is presenting their game. Hi, welcome. We can't hear you. You're muted, as I see.
I'm mute. Oh, sorry. Hello. Hello. Good afternoon, colleagues and guests of the Game Gathering Conference. I would like to share with you a game that I hope will interest each of you. It's a Star Gathering, a space battle RPG, a trial and collectible card game with tactical elements where each player can lead of their own armada of spaceship and become a hero and their own space saga. This was intro, how it's about the game itself. The game is based on Unity engine and will be available on mobile platform like Android and iOS. The Star Gathering is not just a card battle where the player collect and control decks of spaceship card, each with unique abilities, and uses them in battle. Star Gathering, the game genre, is combination of mid-core plus casual element designed for a wide audience of player. Our game has deep gameplay and tactical aspect, but it has simple, accessible mechanic typical casual, such as auto battle. This mechanical allow player to focus on other aspects in the game, such as strategic planning and resource manager, while battle in space evolve automatically. Accessible and simplicity are the key elements of will create an existing gameplay that will appeal to both experienced player and beginners. Star Gathering is easy to learn for new players. Simple and intuitive interface, clear rules, and game mechanics will help beginners to start playing quickly and enjoy the process. It will also help to get more player, increase player retention. 5 words about the setting. Why space? Through science fiction, it isn't most popular genre among collectible card battlers. Space games remain popular among players. Indeed, in the card battles market is dominated a large number of fantasy style games. Fantasy remains of most popular setting for card games, and many players find enjoyment exploring magical world, battling monster, or space fiction is a broad and popular genre that often attract the attention of player. As such, space fiction is attractive setting for card battles that can offer player and a new experience and existing worlds to explore. Know about audience. The game targeted at the Asian and South American market for all space adventure and collectible card game fans aged 25-year-olds and all people who like to play with probabilities. Regions such as Asia and South America are showing great interest in hybrid casual game, specifically on mobile devices. Simple rules and game mechanics make accessible to a wide range of player. Based on this factor, we focus at this market when creating our project. Okay, how to play in Star Gathering. The basis of gameplay is a collection by the player on various cards with spaceship, each with own unique ability, such as defense against, attack, ship boosting, damage dealing. Spaceship cards used to create star flats and battle with enemies, as well improve other cards. Players can create different strategy based the available spaceship cards and the try abilities. By learning the unique abilities as ship, the player places card on the star flat slots. By combination ships and their ability, the player independently finds the best tactical solution of for win to the battle. The battle automatic, as well as the activation of special ability, it happens with random probability. The player as Starfleet commander test his tactic and observe the battle. For winning, for winning the battle, the player receives game currency. There is only one in the game. Cards of spaceships, as well as additional slots for expanding the star fleet. In gaming currency, player can be used for buy cards of spaceship, as well improve the already existing in the fleet. When a ship reach a certain level, such as 10, 20, 30, the ship card given the opportunity to encase in Starlink. To do this in an window, the player must recycle several available spaceship cards to same rank at the spaceship player is upgrading. Monetization. In game, we will use following monetization system, including in-game purchase and investing. A little bit about here. Stargathering has a soft monetization system with means using method that do no hiring gameplay and to do distribute the balance of the game while offering player additional opportunities. In the game, offer 3 monetization strategy. For first, purchasing additional deck without the need view advancing. Second, it's a force advancing viewing and paid and removal these options. And one-time payment for full game unlock. This system opening more comfortable and balance for enjoyable game experience. These approaches provide players with a choice. They can purchase in-game content directly or use alternative way for entering in-game resource. This key for us is to balance monetization and game experience so that game remains accessible and fun for all players, regardless for windless to send real money. Development plan. At the moment, we have more 500 levels. This can complete in about a week, depending on the player preference. Next step, it's pre-soft launch on Android platform for test KPI balancing, on test basis, which we will choose the most successful monetization strategy, as well several activities for players, such the destruction of asteroid and already implemented kind of pirates right now. It's a Q2 this year's. Next step, it's a soft launch. We add PvP arena where the player can battle each other in existing battle using their deck of cards. Next step, it's players can take epic battle against powerful space boss, and player can create or join guild and for team play.
I'm sorry to cut in like this. We're like running very, very short on time. We can still have some feedback, but just thought I would let you know.
Okay. I agree. Sorry. In Constitution, I want to offer you to download and try our game. All the link to build for Android and iOS platform. We have placed it on document and also in the virtual stand. If you have questions regarding all the program, contact us. Thanks for attention.
Thank you so much for the awesome presentation, and take screenshots. Everybody who is watching us, here's a hint: just take a screenshot or take a picture with your phone, and don't be shy and ask questions either right now in the chat, or don't hold it forever and send it to the email right now. And thanks again. Jan, do you have any quick feedback?
Yes, I actually have a lot, but let's focus on the important stuff, which is also a part of this pitch. You went over time, so you should focus more on the really important things and not on the details. Like you had a whole slide on like, okay, how to upgrade a ship and that this is a monetization feature. But it's more than enough that if you have like an overview slide of all the best-selling monetization features overall, then you don't need to go too much into detail. Other than that, and I might be going a bit rough on you because I started out over a decade ago in free-to-play in these games. I've seen a lot of content coming out of Asia, a lot of simulation games that are also predecessors to deck builder games. And when I look at your core pillars, there were like 3, but 2 of them are basically the same because you said it's simple, simplicity, and easy entry. And I would say that goes hand in hand. And the other pillar was that sci-fi is kind of underrepresented in this market segment, which you don't lean on any data. And I'm not sure if that is actually true because I've seen a lot of simulation games for sci-fi games where capital ships are battling it out or regular ships. So these pillars are not as strong. And overall, since we were over time, we might be missing a couple of slides. So I was missing a couple more videos or GIFs, comparables, your target audience, but what are the comparable games and how does your game differ to the other games? What is your exact ask? And you already showed like the timeline and the budgeting, but what do you need overall? As well as how much have you financed of this so far, where you've gone to? Plus a little bit about the team, like how much mobile game development experience do you have? How much free-to-play and monetization experience do you have? There's a lot to unwrap and to unravel. And of course, mobile is more a red ocean than it is a blue ocean. Everything is leaned on KPIs. So what are your target KPIs that you want to achieve by soft launch? Which is also important, like what's your burn rate, what's your runway, what if soft launch takes a little bit longer? And last but not least, obviously these games, if you could get an IP of some sort, it would drastically boost your chances of just having better organic marketing and user acquisition. And that was already a lot. Feel free to approach me over the event platform so we can take it offline and I can be a little bit more detailed about my feedback, also about the full pitch, but yeah, sorry, that was a lot.
Thank you for feedback.
And thank you for all the details. As a gamer, I appreciate it. Like space game, card game on my phone. Heck yeah, of course. You have a great background, of course.
You can try. You can try.
That sounds interesting. I'm definitely. I think I know what I am doing after this event.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And as Jan just mentioned, the ocean, which was really interesting, it was like a bit of a hint to the next game. I have 2 news to deliver, the good and the bad. Let's start with the bad one, and this is the entire underwater world is hunting you. But you're not screwed, because the next team has a game of codename Ocean Keeper, and they will tell you how to deal with that. Pavlo, Oleg, and Eldar are from Ukraine, are already joining us. I think they're here. Hi, welcome.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for this introduction. Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. Please let me turn on our presentation. Here it is. Do you see it?
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, first of all, thank you for having us here on Global Games Pitch. We are here to share something special, a project that's not just close to our hearts, but we also view it as a little leap forward in gaming. But first, let's talk a little bit about our company, about our team. With over 85 million installs and a dozen of successful titles, we've made our mark by blending artistry with technology. Where we work for internal project or for indie developer, our top tier game companies, our mission is creating unforgettable experience. Now let's dive into the ocean. So imagine the strategic depth of StarCraft combined with the charm of Dawnkeeper and all set in expensive underwater world. That's Ocean Keeper. It's our take on the roguelite genre, reimagined and with a focus on exploring strategy and survival. Our main goal is to merge the immersive gameplay of PC titles with the accessibility of mobile gaming. Ocean Keeper, that is built on Unity engine, is about bringing these worlds together, offering a rich and engaging experience that appeals to gamers across all, even handheld platforms. Speaking of our core gameplay, roughly speaking, there are three main phases. The first one is exploration. The player has around 1 minute during which they travel the ocean floor looking for caves and exploring points of interest. The second one is mining phase. So while exploring the cave, the player finds and mines resources for in-session upgrades to survive as many waves as possible. While mining any ore, the player earns metacurrency to spend in the hub. Also, artifacts are located in the caves. Having mined them, the player is offered 3 random weapons, which he can put additionally on the robot within 1 game session. The third one is attack phase. Hordes of zombies detect the player's robot and try to get rid of it. The player must shoot off the monsters and survive the wave. Then the player will have a minute to put on the upgrades and to get ready to the next same phase. In case the player dies, he gets to the hub where he, with the help of metacurrency, he can customize his robot and put permanent improvements, thereby awakening the progression of the next run. Speaking of our selling points, our game shines with its dynamic combat and strategic resource gathering. Player will navigate through challenging waves of enemies while scavenging for resources to enhance their abilities and weapons, ensuring each player through offers something new, some new experience. As an example, in each session the player can find a special artifact which benefits him in this particular session, so it works until the player dies and loses it. So here is one more slide with a little bit of the gameplay in the set of mining one, and a little info about the metacurrency. Speaking of our goals, with Ocean Keeper we aim to set a new standard for gameplay and immersion. So our project is optimized for mobile, handheld and console play with a strategic launch to plan to capture audience worldwide and across all of the platforms. Thanks for the widespread reach and low entry barrier, we have roughly estimated some numbers that we target on. Speaking of our partnership opportunities that we are considering, so our marketing strategy right now as we follow is self-publishing route, but we also are seeking partnership and investment to bring Ocean Keeper to its fullest potential. This collaboration will enable us to refine the game design and functionality, ensuring a memorable gaming experience. Also, so here is our self-production route. Our development roadmap includes an MVP base, open beta, and strategic global launch. This phased approach will allow us to integrate feedback, optimize gameplay, and ensure Ocean Keeper meets the highest standards that our players expect. So thank you for taking a brief look on the Ocean Keeper. At Retro Style Games, we believe in the power of gaming to bring people together and create meaningful experience. Join us as we sail on this exciting venture. Also, I'd like to offer you a brief look on our Steam page where we have a gameplay trailer. Give me a second. Here it is. Let me know if. Oh, sorry. Do you have a demo? Do you see it? We lost a little bit of the start, but I think that's fine. Yeah, and here is our Steam page. It's newly created, but also we have a Discord where we gather some of our fans. There are already some of them. And yeah, feel free to take a look. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And here's the Steam page to take your notes as while you still can, or take a screenshot again. You need to check this out just to know what to do when the entire underwater world is after you. And Jan, do you have any feedback?
Yes, thank you so much for the pitch. This is not an easy one because you're combining basically a publisher and investor pitch in one thing, and that small amount of time is not easy. And you started out great. There was a very good overview of your previous work as a company, which shows your credibility and your past experience. The only thing that I was missing overall maybe a little bit is singling out a couple of key personnel and showing like how much experience they have, how long they've been with the company, to really just knock it out of the park when it comes to your own skill set as a studio. Other than that, yeah, very good comparables, good fact sheet, as I like to call it. So the overview of like genre, business model, and everything. And this is also, so it's not only difficult because you're targeting investors and publishers, but you're also planning like a Goldilocks-like approach to the business model and the platforms, because you want to have a premium game on PC, but you also say that on mobile, it makes more sense to be free to play, right?
Yeah, so that's our current goal, is to make a gorgeous full-scale game on the PC, and also to have a mobile version that will be more attractive to the casual user.
Exactly. And so putting a little bit more emphasis on the type of partner that you're looking for as a focus, like, hey, do you want to have an investor that allows you to self-publish on all platforms? Or do you want to split it up and then look for a dedicated publisher for PC/consoles, because platform relationships are important to you and it may not be something that you have on these platforms yet. But obviously we have a very short amount of time and you try to put a lot of information on those slides, whereas there was still a very good balance of information versus visuals, I would say.
Yeah, thanks for the feedback.
Because also one of the things is, of course, you still aim at a fairly low price point, which I guess comes from the comparables. They have a very low price point. I mean, the comparables do have a publishing partner in some cases, and Vampire Survivors, I mean, they also worked with a company that helped them to self-publish. So this is always something to consider, because at the end of the day, you know, from $8.99, the more parties that are involved, the less every party gets. So obviously it needs to make sense in the whole kind of investment scheme. And when you are targeting investors, obviously having just a quick P&L up there somewhere to show like, hey, this is what we need, this is what we estimate this to be as a business plan / case, would also make it a little bit more clear, I would say. Yeah, but other than that, looks good. Also, Steam page, I looked at it before this session. Also looks good so far. So yeah, start collecting all those wish lists.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, and wishing you all the wish list that one can ever imagine.
Thanks a lot.
One will be definitely coming from me because it looks really, really cool.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you.
Just honest, just brutally honest. And now the most exciting part, like in those game TV shows. I already know something that you don't, but you'll know it in a minute. Who are the winners of today's event? I hope that you're ready. So the third place gets an advanced pass to Global Games Pitch. Is everyone ready? Are you sitting firm in the chairs? Head and night. So I'll tell you in a minute what to look forward to. The second place that also gets an advanced pass. It's a very fast one. Very advanced drive rally. And the first place who gets the pro ticket. This is like the coolest trash we all heard about. It's trash. And while we cannot send you an invitation to Hogwarts, we can send you another email with your pass. So look forward to that in the very near future. Thanks again for all the presentations. Yeah, and thanks for your commentary. I also made a lot of notes. That is useful for every even aspiring developer.
Awesome.
And we're
Yeah,
looking
thanks
forward
for having me.
Anytime, of course. It's always been an honor, and this time especially. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone soon again. And just a reminder that you can stalk people you're interested in on LinkedIn or on the GDBAY platform. If you didn't write down who are the winners, now on the bottom of the screen you can see that. Thanks again, and talk to you soon. And don't forget to wishlist and play. I bet your gaming list has grown at least 7 games today. At least.